Survive and Advance on the Grizzly Crew Sports Network. I'm your co-host for Survive and Advance, Mike Goodpaster. And right now, I'd like to welcome in my other co-host, who once again was wrong on a game he picked. Help me welcome to the show, 1981 national champion, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
Hey, good morning, Mike. Good to see you today. Good to talk to you today. How can I be able to be your other co-host? I'm just your co-host. We don't have three. You just have two.
I said I was a co-host, so you just be quiet. All right, next up, We've got, from the FFaceoff, Anthony Cervino. How you doing, Anthony?
I'm doing great, guys. How are you?
We're doing great, except for Steve, who was wrong again on a prediction. And, of course, we have as a special guest today for a few minutes before he has to jump off, Mark Edwards, member to I don't even know, it was 2000, so I don't even know.
2001 Super Bowl champions. The start of the dynasty that continued last night.
All right, and let's talk about that, Mark, just a little bit. The thing I took away from it is Bill Belichick is just that much better than everybody else.
He really is. Last year, they put up huge offensive numbers. When they won against Atlanta 2 years ago, huge offensive numbers. They've been winning with offense. And, like a chameleon that can change his colors and do things however he wants to do, completely different game plan hashed out last night, and they won with defense, the lowest scoring game in Super Bowl history. And it's just amazing that he just morphed his game plan into a conservative one, with Tom Brady and Gronk and Edelman and, the way they've been running the ball with Sony Michel. It's just baffling the different ways that the Patriots are able to win, the different ways that Coach Belichick can get these guys motivated and the game plans that he institutes. It's just nobody expected this to be a low-scoring game. Everybody was loving the over. I was thinking, I think it was 34-31 or 31-28. It was going to be a Patriots victory, but nobody could have envisioned 13-3.
I did pick the under. Steve can vouch for that. And Risley picked the Rams. So if either one of you guys want to jump in and ask Mark a question, well, I got him for 10 minutes, so we're just going to concentrate there. But the thing that stands out to me is this. The way Belichick, and this will show his greatness. I mean, teams try to coach against Belichick. And what I mean is, Tony Romo made a comment in the third quarter how he thought it was brilliant how McVay wasn't breaking the huddle till 15 seconds were left so Belichick couldn't talk to his players. But I think that completely took the Rams out of any rhythm in the game, and I think that they worried too much about what Belichick was doing, where Doug Peterson last year just coached the game to win the game.
Yeah, you can also see that, but there was a nice little chess match for a little while going on there because it was such a low-scoring game. And you saw that Belichick actually did have to use a few timeouts, have to burn a couple timeouts, because they weren't trying to match wits with Belichick. But, typically when you're going against somebody who's better than you, you can keep throwing some haymakers and some jabs for a while. But eventually the champ is going to land one, is going to knock you out. And eventually that's what happened. He went toe-to-toe with Belichick for most of the game, three-quarters of the game. And then you just saw the dam breaking right there in that second half of the fourth quarter. And the Patriots do what the Patriots do. Everybody was writing them off, writing Brady off, writing Gronk off. 11-5, it was the beginning of the dynasty starting to fade. And lo and behold, they make a magical run at the end of the year and just get hot at the right time. And, it's like, hey, we're bored with the regular season now. We're bored winning 12 and 13 games every year. Let's try to do it a different way. So, yeah, they went out and did it.
All right, Steve, Anthony, either one of you have a question?
Yeah, Mark, what is the biggest difference that you see between Tom Brady when you played with him and then Tom Brady now?
Well, the biggest difference when I played with Tom is that he was essentially a rookie. It was his first year starting. He was second year in the league, but his first year starting, and we protected him, okay? We played great offense or great defense. We played conservative offense. We would run. We would play action. His typical line, was 200 yards passing, 16 out of 25 for 200 yards and 1 touchdown, no picks. And then you really saw the transition of Tom Brady throughout the years from becoming the guy that we kind of took care of to the guy that makes everybody around him better. And that's how he is now. And, you know, he didn't care about passing stats last night. He didn't care that he didn't have a great game. You know, 290 yards, 1 pick, no touch. He doesn't care one bit because that ring is just going to be every bit as shiny, whether he threw for 500 yards or whether he threw, just managed the game. He was almost a game manager last night.
All right, Steve?
Yeah, my question would be, Mark, for you is this happened to, I think, us in 1981 when we won our national championship at Indiana in basketball, and that Edelman got the MVP here. I get that, but was Belichick the real MVP in this game? I mean, was he really, truly? I mean, I think it's Bill Belichick who won this game. I think he out-coached McVay. He out-coached McVay. He out-strategized him. He hung in, made gutsy calls when he had to. I mean, I think this is Belichick's. If ever you were going to give a coach in the NFL an MVP award, it would have gone to Belichick this year over Edelman. Although Edelman played great. And I said halfway through the game, we were tweeting back and forth, Mike and I and Anthony. I don't even know if you were on these or not. But I was saying this is going to go to Edelman because he's just a catalyst on this team. But it was Belichick that won this game last night.
I completely agree with you. But at the same time, throughout this marriage of Brady and Belichick, that's always been the big question. Is it Belichick making Brady great? Is it Brady making Belichick great? I think it's a combination of both.
It's an equal union. Yeah, it's an equal union. Yeah. I mean, one would not be as great without the other. I mean, it's two parts of a whole.
Absolutely. They both could be, all pros, and Belichick can still be a coach of the year somewhere else potentially, but together, it's been a 18, 19-year dynasty. I mean, we're never going to see anything like this again in our lifetimes. At least I don't think we are in any sport. The way they have just been consistently great for so long and been in it every single year. 6 rings, 9 Super Bowls, countless more AFC championship games. The AFC division title is a given every year. There's a lot of Brady haters out there, and they talk about Spygate, Deflategate. We kind of hit on that a little bit last week. But people just need to appreciate what they're seeing because whether you love him or you hate him, whatever, you're watching those Belichick and watching Brady do what they do together is all inspiring. It's
that's my
next question. We're not going to see again.
Yeah, that's my next question here now. Does the transition begin now from being Brady Belichick haters now to just being in awe of these two guys and what they can accomplish?
We've got a couple years left. Just got a couple years left.
They're not done,
people. But we've got a couple years left. 3-4 more years at the most likely, and just enjoy it. Enjoy this ride. Hate them all you want, root against them, but appreciate what you're seeing.
Well, and Mike was right. In the end, I took the Rams just because I thought the Rams had talent, and I thought it was a hot, But I understood the fact that probably it was a good bet that the Patriots were going to figure out a way to win this game because you just don't bet against these guys. But do we now start to transition off this? We hate these guys to where you just like, I'm going to start rooting for them now because I don't think anybody. I want to see somebody beat them, and nobody can beat them. They just keep winning. Just go now. Just
win out until it's all said.
Win out.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, Mark. I know you've got to go. I know you're in the middle of work.
I'm a working man, boy.
All right, so we will talk to you later, but I want to thank you for coming on for a few minutes today, and we'll get you back on soon.
Sounds good. Go Pats.
All right.
Continue
Thanks a lot.
Go Pats.
All right. See you guys.
All right, Anthony. The thing that stood out to me. What?
I have a question, and I know Mark had to jump off, but why is it that a coach like Vince Lombardi, who had a dominant dynasty before even the Super Bowl, he's beloved in the NFL community, and people hate the Patriots and Bill Belichick?
I can tell you why.
Is it a sign of
I
where
can tell you
society
why.
is today?
Yeah, I think what it is this. And I hate to bring this up, but it wasn't brought up by me first. It was brought up by Jason Whitlock, and I read a couple articles this morning about it. And the thing is this, I think they are hated because, I mean, if Julian Edelman, Rob Gronkowski, Rex Burkhead, James White, those were their four main players with Tom Brady. I think that the way society has gone, I think, and I hate to say this, but there was a lot of white guys on that team. And when I sit here and I can pull up 5 articles of people who hate them because they're white, or they're asking, is it racist to hate the Patriots because they're white? I think this has something to do with it, Anthony.
Really? I never even thought of that.
Anthony, just a minute. The views expressed by certain reporters and
will
people
you
on
stop
this
this
show
shit? I get
are
so
not
sick of
necessarily
this.
the views of the
No,
Grueling Truth.
just shut up with that
and
shit.
Of all employees of people
this is the
on
thing.
this. Those are individual
Okay,
views
whatever.
expressed by certain members of the broadcast team, not by the Grueling Truth.
You're such a
I have
pussy.
to protect ourselves,
I'll tell
Mike.
you what. You're not
Okay,
protecting
so-
anything. How are you protecting it? Who's going to sue me? Black people? Mexican people? Chinese people? I mean, I'm not the one that came up with this.
Mike, we're trying to get
a
advertising
sponsor.
dollars.
Yeah.
That's not
okay.
going to help.
So wait a second. We're trying to get advertising dollars, but Jason Whitlock on Fox.
Now you want daughters too? Oh my God,
on
Mike!
Fox,
You're having a bad day.
On Fox.
Monday
How am I
morning.
having a bad day?
Those are not the views
Here's
expressed
what we
by
got.
everybody on the
Okay,
broadcast
let's
program.
not talk about it then. Let's be like everybody else. But you know what? Fox Sports had Jason Whitlock on, who claimed that a third or a fourth of the reason that people hate them is because they're too white. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at the article right now. We got another one. Is it racist to hate the New England Patriots because they have too many white guys? Why do the New England Patriots love signing so many white guys? All I put in are the Patriots too white, and I get an entire page. Super Bowl 2019 from Vox, why everybody hates the New England Patriots. I mean,
Okay.
Jason Whitlock claimed that James White was signed because they thought he was white. Let's see. I mean, this is my problem. People hate the fact that this team has a work ethic. They play like a team. If you remember the first Super Bowl that the Patriots won, that was when we stopped introducing players individually.
Mike, you need to stop. You need to stop this right now. You need to go a different direction here real quick.
Why?
You're not. You don't start talking about. Just change directions.
Why?
Dude.
Am I completely off base here, Anthony, when there's like 10 articles I can find about this?
I don't know.
Just tell the truth. I mean, you know what? The name of this show is supposed to be The Grueling Truth. And why is it all right for Jason Whitlock to say that a lot of people hate the Patriots because they're white? And then if I say
Mike,
the
you know
same
why
thing,
I'll say that? Here's why I'll say that, because I think you're smarter than Jason Whitlock. I genuinely think you're a smarter man than Jason Whitlock.
Okay.
I'll
tell you what.
It's not
You have to be
necessarily
an
true.
absolute idiot to not think that this has something to do with the fact that Bill Belichick and Tom Brady are huge Donald Trump fans. They wear MAGA hats. That's why. You know, this is the way people
Where
take it.
are we going with this today? Oh, my God. Okay. All right. Go ahead and ramble, Mike. Go ahead. You're on your own.
I won't
now, buddy.
ramble because obviously I'm on my own because nobody else has a freaking backbone, which is the problem with this country. I mean, just to answer me this, why is it not all right for me to bring it up when there's 10 other sites that bring it up that have sponsors?
I don't think the fact that it was a low-scoring game, the game was boring.
Yeah, whatever. Go ahead, Anthony.
What's that?
I don't know. Whatever you want to talk about, because Steve is a little girl and wants to change the subject. If Jason Whitlock was on here, I guess it would be wrong to argue this point with him. I never said it was true. What I'm saying is that's what people are saying. And it is when you look online. Right? I mean, Jason Whitlock said it. I mean, Vox said it. You know, why is me saying that it is crazy bad? So if I say that it's all right that, you know, Jason Whitlock said that, then I would be okay. You wouldn't apologize.
Who is Jason Whitlock? Who is Jason Whitlock anyway? Who is he?
Isn't he on ESPN or Fox?
He's on Fox now. He used to be on ESPN. He's been on forever. He's one of the most...
But, I mean, are you taking it out of context? I can't imagine him being serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I watched him say it. He was serious. He even wrote an article about it. Here we go. Yeah, this is the article. You want the article, or is that out of bounds for me to report something that somebody?
Mike, you're rolling now, buddy. Just go with it now. You've already opened the floodgates.
I opened the floodgates because I'm the one that originally said it, right? On Fox Sports 1 show, Speak for Yourself, Whitlock broke down why the Patriots were hated. And he said, in a league dominated by African-American players, the Patriots are the outliers. Whitlock explains they are the suburban two-parent home of perceived white privilege. The Patriots are Duke basketball when you recall the 1970 Steelers. He says you think of Terry Bradshaw, Chuck Noll, Franco Harris, Mean Joe Green. You think of the 49ers, you think of Montana and Rice and Ronnie Lott. He said the Patriots of the last 20 years, you think of white privilege. Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, Robert Kraft, Rob Gronkowski, and Bill Belichick. He said that twice. The Patriots look like Duke in this area of fake woke where people like to act like they're not racist. He said it's cool and socially acceptable to hate Gronk, and Edelman. It's like hating J.J. Redick, Grayson Allen, and Christian Laettner. Hating the Patriots and Duke is the international sign that you're pro-black and free of racism. That's what he said. This is what he wrote. This is what he said on that. So how am I out of bounds by bringing up what an idiot Jason Whitlock is? I mean, what he said there should have got him fired.
I guess what disappoints me mostly is that we talk about what I think was a strategically phenomenal Super Bowl of good versus old, young versus old, goat versus ram. That we're talking about this. Again, this is just what bothers me. If Whitlock brings it up and says it, and see, we always want to put some kind of separation into these things. This was just a great strategic game by Belichick and by Brady.
You're right. We should never call somebody out that says something ignorant.
Well, Mike, if you're calling him out, then call him out. Call him an idiot and an asshole right now.
I did.
Okay. All right.
I called him an ignorant asshole.
Okay.
I also tweeted to him and asked him if you ever wanted to come on this show to talk about it. So I just think that
I don't think that anything like that plays into the fact of how this game played out.
Nobody talked about that. No, Anthony, that was not your question, was it?
No, I just brought up Lombardi and Belichick, not knowing it would turn into this.
And this is the thing.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's because it pisses
me
off
go.
when you have
I think the question
people
now, Mike,
like
here's
Jason
the question.
Whitlock.
Let's redirect. The question now is it just totally clear now that Belichick is just head and shoulders above even Vince Lombardi?
It was already clear. Vince Lombardi, a lot of the reasons why Vince Lombardi is loved is because, number one, he was in a small town, a place that hadn't won in a long time, and he won charismatically. He was a guy that would give you more than what Belichick gives you on a post-game press conference. It was the same reason Knight was hated. They didn't hate him because of the way he screamed and ranted and raved at his players. They hated him because of the way the press treated him. So the press was going to paint him in a bad light. The same thing with Belichick. He's painted in a bad light because of the way he treats the media. It's like when they lose to Kansas City, every question they ask is on to Cincinnati.
Yes.
All right. I'm sorry. Anthony, does the press paint Belichick in a bad light?
Oh yeah.
I don't think they do really.
No, I don't think so.
I think the press pretty much respects Belichick, Mike, and I think the press pretty much says he is the GOAT. I mean, Jesus, crime and Nitley.
Yeah, but they have to say that now. But the thing is this. You still have, and I guarantee you can pull up at least 3 or 4 articles from people, especially in Buffalo and Miami today, that talk about the only reason he won was because he cheated.
What did you have for dinner last night?
What do you mean, what did I have? I'm sitting here, I'm reading social media. I mean, I don't know what I had for dinner.
Well, there's your first mistake.
I guess you're right.
Mistake.
I mean, Jason Whitlock
I toy
shouldn't
with
be
social
called
media.
out.
I play on it and have fun with it, make jokes. I mean, I found the movie poster for The Men Who Stare at Goats, and I tweeted that out 1,000 times last night thinking, this is the Rams, the men who stare at goats.
Yeah, but that is only relevant if you have on the other side Brady and Belichick standing there and they're staring at him, which would be.
But they are standing there. That's reality, that they are standing there, and you've got to beat them. And right now, in the NFL, for the last 10 years, there's nobody that can consistently beat them. You'll win a game, you'll win a battle, but you will not win the war against the New England Patriots as long as Brady and Belichick are together. You won't win that war. You'll win a battle. A battle is a game.
This is the
thing.
A
war is a season.
I mean, the thing is this. The media also, this is the same media that was anointing Sean McVay as a great coach. All year.
Bobby Sharon just tweeted me and said he's done working with us now.
Okay.
He's no longer going to work with us.
What we got, we can go work with Jason Whitlock. I won't call him today then. I'm not going to call him today.
He didn't do that. He did not do that.
This is the
I'm
thing.
just making that up.
This is the thing. Why would you make things up? I mean, you're sitting
because that's
there,
what social media is.
Because I wanted to. Yeah, that's what social media is. And so what's wrong with calling out people that say stuff that is absolutely ignorant? That's all I did with Jason Whitlock. I never said that the Patriots were hated because they were white. What I say is that's the perception that will be put there. When you watch this game, this is Sean McVay is an overrated hack. He got the job, as I've said all year, and you told me I was nuts, because John McVay was his grandfather.
Anthony, just be quiet. Don't say anything here. Let me handle this.
Is this not what I said all year?
Sean McVay is not an overrated hack.
Oh, whatever. Let's kiss his ass because wait a second. No, shit. I don't want to hear this anymore. We're sitting here talking about a guy that had everything handed to him in life against Bill Belichick, who started off coaching when he was 23 in the NFL for $1 a day. Literally, that's about what he made. And you're going to compare him to Bill Belichick. And the thing is this, I sat here on our Super Bowl preview show, and I broke down every game he lost and why he lost it, and it's the same damn thing that happened yesterday. The kid shit his pants. He had Wade Phillips, who was an absolute genius defensively, kept him in that game, and he shit his pants. When the lights were the biggest, he fell apart. That's a defensive battle because wait a second. This is the thing. 90% of the people in the world don't even know what Bill Belichick did. And what he did was brilliant. When you watch the game again, the thing you'll notice is this. When they replay the plays, the Rams are a huge play-action team. Correct, Anthony?
Yes.
Okay. What happens on play-action? The quarterback turns his back to the defense. So on the interception... on the interception down there, what happened was, what the Patriots did the entire game was this. As soon as this would go play action, they would be lined up in cover 3. Goff has to turn his back. Once he turned his back on the defense, they would flip to a cover 4, which took away the read that he saw. So he goes play action. He comes up. He goes to throw the ball, and he looked tentative the whole game because the defense would go to a cover 4 or they would go to a cover 2. So when he turns to throw the ball to the spot he's planning on, it's not there. That's why he looked bad. He looked bad because he was fooled. And it was absolutely brilliant what Bill Belichick did. I haven't seen anybody write about it today. I mean, that was the whole key to the game. When he turns his back, the ball snapped. As soon as the backs turned, they would go from cover 3 to cover 4 or they would go to cover 2. And this is a New England team that all year played man. And man is the last thing you want to play against play action. Now, if you've watched them in the past, the Patriots their whole goal is to take away what you do best. Last year when they played the Philadelphia Eagles came into that Super Bowl, and their main thing was the RPO. Last year in that Super Bowl, the Eagles ran an RPO maybe 5 times the whole game. Why? Because they knew it was going to be taken away from them. Now, Sean McVay went in and still continued to try to do what he always does. And he tried to do it against Bill Belichick, who had 2 weeks to prepare. Bill Belichick won that game into 2 weeks to prepare when all he did was, as soon as, Goff turns his back, if we're in cover 3, we're going to drop to a cover 4. That's all he did. If you watch, the dig route at like 15 yards was open the whole game, and they showed that repeatedly on there. The problem was Goff never realized it, neither did McVay, because they would rotate the safeties. They were giving them that, but they were making it look like before the ball was snapped that this other thing is open. And Goff continually tried to throw to the other thing, which was usually the deep route down the sideline. And they both got just brutalized by that. And the thing I don't understand is, if Sean McVay is the boy wonder, why not by the end of the first quarter, early second quarter, has he not figured that out, Anthony?
I am not completely down on Sean McVay, despite everything you're pointing out, which there is a consistency of. But so far, since Sean McVay has taken over, he is 26-10, has been in 4 playoff games, including a Super Bowl, and has developed one of the best offenses in the NFL. So
yeah,
I'm not going to.
And
he's young, and he's not even 35, right?
I mean,
he's going to be
how
coaching.
He's 33.
He's going to be coaching for a long time.
We'll see. As a head coach, we'll see.
Mike, hang on. Anthony, I'm just trying to protect you here a little bit.
Oh, whatever.
Mike, is Sean McVay just not another in a long line of people who have been punked by Bill Belichick in Super Bowls?
Yes.
I mean,
and
come
in
on.
that long line of people who have been punked,
and so what separates
a good coach?
What separates Pete Carroll from Mike McVay, Sean McVay?
Pete Carroll's
You got the oldest coach in the NFL versus the youngest coach in the NFL.
And wait a second.
Belichick
if you don't remember this, wait a second. When have I ever complimented Pete Carroll as being a great football coach?
Well, I would think that any coach that gets Super Bowls pretty well done his job and gotten his team an opportunity to play for a championship.
Okay.
And I know in my tenure at Indiana University, our number one goal every year is be in a position to play for a national championship.
How do you have tenure at a place where you can only be there for 4 years?
Well, in this day and age, Mike, 4 years would be tenure in any college basketball team.
Okay,
because very few players play 4 years.
Okay.
Well, I just gave you an answer. Just shut you up real quick.
How did it shut me up?
Tenure would be anybody that plays 4 years.
4 years
would give you tenure because I don't think Zion Williamson is going to be a tenured player at Duke.
Really?
He's going to be a one and done. I'm not sure Romeo Langford is going to be a tenured player at IU.
Colin Hartman was a tenured player at IU, though. He was there for
He was more tenured than me. He played 5 years, right? Yeah, and he still didn't outscore me. So
he also
got
didn't
the
have
extra year and
Isaiah
still
Thomas
couldn't get
at
there.
point guard.
No, he had Yogi Ferrell, who was in the same.
Not Isaiah Thomas. No, he's not. Don't even say that.
No, nobody.
Yogi Ferrell is a great basketball player, but he's not in Isaiah Thomas's league.
Right. I understand that. I
Colin
don't want to go there.
He'd have won it all.
I'm just saying I don't understand where your anger's coming from, Mike. Where is your anger coming from towards Sean McVay?
I don't have any anger. All I know is this.
Sean McVay's a young coach who got learned a lesson last night.
All year.
He learned a lesson.
Wait a second. All year.
He learned he got out coached.
Okay. Jesus.
That happens to people.
Yeah, just keep talking. Doesn't matter what I say.
Well, right now I'm kind of scared of what you're going to say.
Why? I mean, it's the same thing I said all year. And you called me crazy. You kept telling me what a great coach he was. When I watched him against
Who?
the Saints,
Who?
McVay.
Anthony. All right, shut up, Mike. Anthony, is Sean McVay, would you consider Sean McVay a great football coach?
No.
I'm not going to put him in the great class. No.
He's a good coach.
Would you put him in the top echelon of coaches in the NFL right now?
That wouldn't take much.
Probably at the back end.
Yeah, I agree. He's young. He's 33. The guy's barely 33 years old.
Anything?
Give him a chance to learn the game.
Oh, geez.
This is not easy
All right,
to do.
so what you're telling me is this. Number one, it's not rocket science or rocket surgery. It's football. Number two, if he hasn't learned, how did he get a head coaching job? Because aren't you supposed to know this stuff when you get a head coaching job? I'm telling you this, Steve. He is a good coach that will never win a Super Bowl, ever.
Oh, you may be right, Mike. I mean, very few coaches win Super Bowls, so that's not
And
a
this,
too
to
statement
me,
to make.
Great coaches are guys like Belichick. I think Doug Peterson is a hell of a football coach. You know, John Harbaugh, I think, is a hell of a football coach. Outside of that, everybody else is about the same in the NFL. And this is the thing. Sean McVay had everything bought for him. They tried to buy a championship team, and he lost to a team that consistently doesn't pick a guy until the end of the first round. I don't know, what are you whispering about? Hey, Anthony, where did Steve go?
Isn't he still here?
I don't know.
I think he's just muted.
No, I'm here.
He had more important things than talking to us.
No, nothing. Go ahead.
No, it was you. You were supposed to talk because I asked you a question. You don't remember what it was?
What was the question?
Oh, that's all right. Anthony, you got anything to add to this? The thing, I didn't ask you a question,
I'm here.
Steve.
Hang on.
I'm just messing with you. But the thing that stood out to me, this game was won because I think, Anthony, in the end, the Patriots were able to run the ball a little bit.
Yeah, the Patriots at least were consistently trying to run the ball. You know, the Rams, they only totaled between Gurley and C.J. Anderson 17 carries.
Yeah.
The game wasn't out of reach to where they had to throw as much as they did. I think you had to keep establishing, or at least trying to establish the run. I think they could have passed a little bit more out of the backfield. I mean, I know Gurley, he's not himself, but, you know, C.J. Anderson did convert a first down when they did throw it to him.
Yeah.
I feel like McVay was too predictable almost.
And that is what has happened in every game he has lost.
Goff held on to the ball too long.
Hey, Goff held on to the ball too long because there wasn't nowhere to throw it. I mean, other than Brandon Cooks, most of those times where people are saying he needs to get rid of the ball, he needs to throw it away because there was nobody open. The defense by the Patriots was amazing. And to me, I mean, this might be the end for the Patriots because at some point it will be. If it was, I think this kind of proves that it's Belichick and Brady together, but Belichick has the bigger haul here because the first Super Bowl that they won, this is how they won it, Anthony. And the last Super Bowl, if it is their last, which I would never bet that it is, they kind of won it the same way they did the first one, by just playing defense and smash-mouth football, and Brady manages the game, and this looked like the first go-around against the Rams.
But Mike, here's the deal. Here's the deal. What I think makes Belichick and Brady so great is they have beat you every way possible to beat you.
That's what
they just figure out a way to beat you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first one you give to Belichick. The last one you give to Belichick. I mean, the other ones in between were a mixture of both. And I think this. I think always when you have, even if it's Montana Walsh, to me, Walsh is the bigger player in that. You know, no matter what the quarterback coaching situation is, because that head coach has more responsibility than just the offense also, if you know what I'm saying. And I think Bill Walsh invented the offense that he put Joe Montana in. You know? And we don't know if Montana would have been as good somewhere else. He probably wouldn't have. But I think this, if you put Dan Marino in San Francisco in 1984, he probably has 5 or 6 Super Bowl rings.
Repeat that again. I mean, I think I like what you're saying. I'm sorry. Yeah.
If you put Dan Marino in 1984 in San Francisco, he would have 5 or 6 Super Bowl rings.
I think that's a very fair statement. Yeah, I think it's a very fair statement.
So I think it's always the head coach more than it is the quarterback, but that doesn't diminish how great the quarterback is.
No. I mean, what's phenomenal here, and Anthony jumped in here. It's the pairing of the two that is the come to Jesus moment. To me, is that they found each other through a draft, being the 212th player picked, 6th round pick, coach that was, kind of a journeyman coach for a while, a brilliant journeyman coach, but kind of went everywhere. Belichick just didn't come up through the Rams or the Pats organization. He kind of did coaching everywhere else. I mean, he went to Cleveland. I don't know where else he coached.
He was with the Giants for almost a decade.
Then he went to Cleveland for a year or two, but he's paid his dues. But then these two guys come together through a beacon of light, on a shore in Boston, Massachusetts, which is a lighthouse, and they bring them together, and they create magic. And how much does Robert Kraft play into this whole thing?
Robert Kraft plays into it because he's let Belichick do whatever Belichick wants to do.
I think
is that a lesson? Hang on, whoa, hang on there, sport. Because now I'm going to get on your ass. Is this something Jerry Jones should learn?
Exactly, because Jerry Jones could have had this probably for a decade if he doesn't get rid of Jimmy Johnson.
I think this could be another conversation for another day, but if you think back to how Dallas was compared to how Dallas is now, they draft different. They don't sign the big free agents. They try to pay their own, sometimes hanging on for them too long. I think Jerry Jones is trying to mimic what the Patriots are doing, because the Patriots, they don't sign the big name free agent and they build from the draft. And if you look at Dallas in the past, I would say, maybe 4 years, they're trying to do that. That's how they built that offensive line. That's how they have to.
Dallas.
The problem is
Dallas has one big roadblock. Dallas has one big roadblock, and it's called Jerry Jones. That's the difference. Robert Kraft just sits up there in his blue shirt with white collar, his red tie. He sits in his suite and shuts up and lets Belichick and Brady do their thing. Jones cannot do that.
Yeah, and that offensive line,
Are we underestimating the impact of Stephen Jones?
No,
because I
Stephen Jones is an idiot compared to Bill Belichick.
I think the smart football guy, Stephen Jones.
No, not like Belichick.
Compared to Jerry. Belichick, nobody is. There is no Bill Belichick. There was.
His name was Jimmy Johnson, and y'all let him go.
I think Johnson's pretty good. I think Jimmy Johnson's pretty.
I don't think he was a Belichick, but this is the problem. You talked about the draft and everything. But the problem is this: the offensive line is now dropped off because a couple of those guys leave. And with the Patriots, when somebody leaves, they bring back somebody that's just as good, if not better. Because personnel-wise, there's not another Bill Belichick out there. And that's why if a team like the Cowboys makes a run, they have a perfect example, the Bengals. They made the playoffs 5 straight years. That's because the year before that playoff run started, they had a great draft. Then they had another great draft, and then another great draft. And then the drafts have been crap since. So that 5-year run was the 5-year window they had from 3 great drafts. They didn't get it done in that time, and they were not smart enough in the front office to be able to replace those guys. So you lose Andrew Whitworth, Marvin Jones, Mohamed Sanu, Kevin Zeitler, and you replace them with guys that are first-round picks that are absolute trash. And that's the problem you got with trying to do it the Patriots way, because if you don't have, how many times in the history of the NFL, especially the last 30 or 40 years, Anthony, have we had a head coach that successfully was a GM also? It doesn't happen a lot. Often. No.
And the ones who have failed, look at Chip Kelly.
Yeah, Mike Holmgren. He made it to a Super Bowl with the Seahawks, and then they fell off significantly after that.
If anybody can do it, is it Andy Reid?
No, he can't because
Andy Reid can't. Yeah,
Andy Reid is so focused on one side of the ball that that's the difference between him and Belichick. Because I think Belichick, it will bring it back to Mark, who's told us numerous times, any game plan goes through Belichick, offense and defense.
Isn't that how Bill Parcells did it too? Because Parcells were, Belichick came from Parcells, and a lot of what you're saying are similarities to what I've read and heard about Bill Parcells, how he handles business.
What do you mean by that?
Where everything goes through Bill Parcells.
I think the Giants had a GM, though, didn't they, in the 80s? So I think he had a lot of say in it, but I don't know if I don't think he had the kind of say that Bill Belichick has in it.
Well, hang on, Mike, let me ask you a question.
If you remember, wait a second. Belichick, Parcells had George Young as the GM with the Giants. And George Young was a hell of a GM. I mean, they drafted a lot of great players. I mean, Lawrence Taylor was drafted before Bill Parcells was ever the head coach. I mean, most of that linebacker core, a lot of it was drafted before Bill Parcells. So I think Bill Parcells was fine in the 80s. He got mad because he goes to New England, and I think it was Kraft who actually took away him picking the players, which is why Parcells left and ended up going to the Jets. Go ahead, Steve. Sorry.
Okay, Mike. Well, no, be sorry. This is a great conversation. I mean, I'm enjoying this. And,
I'm not really sorry, anyways. Just so you know, I was being sarcastic.
I know you're not, Mike. And I don't want you to be sorry. That's why I enjoy my relationship with you because we're never sorry, but we also know we love each other and we're best buddies. So that's cool. At least on my end, we are. Would you say that Bill Parcells did things more with attitude, and Belichick does things more with strategy? Would that be a fair assessment if you kind of look at those two coaches? I think Bill Parcells was a little bit more like Bob Knight in that he scared the shit out of people, and people played in fear for him.
Well, wait a second, Steve, because I think everybody plays in fear of Belichick also, because he'll cut your ass at the drop of a hat.
They fear because he's going to outsmart you. Like he outsmarted McVay. I don't think McVay's an idiot coach. I think he's a great young football coach.
No, I think he's
probably will finally learn how to win these games down the road.
Well,
he's a decent football coach.
Well, Doug Peterson was in only his second year as a head coach. I know he was a little older, but I think there's being way too much.
But am I right to make that comparison that Belichick is a strategist who just will outsmart you? He'll figure out what you're going to do. And Anthony, jump in here and help me or hurt me. But Parcells was just one who intimidated you, and you focus more on Parcells than you did on what was going on in the game.
How about this?
With Belichick, you focus on you got to figure out a way to beat Belichick because he's not going to beat himself.
How about this?
Am I right or wrong there?
I think this. I think you're right to an extent, but I also think this. I think almost any great coach you ever find, there is some fear of him. I mean, Tom Landry was a quiet guy, but the players fear him.
Losing's the fear.
Well, no, losing your job is the fear. I mean, we've seen Bill Belichick get rid of guys like Ty Law, who ends up being a Hall of Famer, and everybody went nuts and said, why are you doing that? And then he goes out and he still wins the Super Bowl. I think what you've got with Brady or with Belichick, guys like Bobby Knight, they were guys that kind of did both. Because Bobby Knight beat Syracuse in 1987 because he was a lot better coach, strategy-wise, than Jim Boeheim. I mean, because that Syracuse team had more talent than IU did. But Knight figured out a way to beat them.
I have never watched a basketball game in my life where I saw anybody that was a better bench coach than Bobby Knight.
No.
And that's kind of how Belichick is. Belichick is a bench coach. He's a sideline coach. I guess in football you would call it a sideline coach. Yeah. In basketball you would call it a bench coach. But there is nobody.
Feared, just for different reasons.
Because you do, every move you make, they're going to counter you and come back at you with something entirely different. And when you have a master like Tom Brady, who is still at 41 years old, has the ability to be very chameleon-like, and adapt. And we say he didn't have a great 290 yards. That's a pretty good football game in a Super Bowl. And he got one pick, which was a tipped ball at the beginning of the game, and Belichick got the defense to cover and do what he needed to do, and it became not a penalty or liability to New England. And that was masterful on Belichick to say, okay, I have to tack right now. I've got to tack. I got to go up. I got to upwind. I got to change course, and I've got to get more speed. And he did everything he needed to do to minimize that interception. And that was the flaw, the one lone flaw, really, of New England for the entire night.
Well,
and then he just hung on and said, "We're going to grind with you." He said, "This is a grinding game." Yeah. Belichick saw that. This is a grind game. We're going to grind here.
This is the problem with that, because even if McVay sees that, the reason that Belichick can make this a grinding game is because he's got Tom Brady. And at 3-3 going into the fourth quarter, the game's over, because at some point Tom Brady's going to have the ball with a chance to win the game, and it's what he did. He makes a great throw to Gronk. And I think, and Anthony, I'll ask you this. I think guys like Montana and Brady, who don't look the part of a big-time NFL quarterback, became the two greatest quarterbacks of all time because of how smart Bill Walsh and Bill Belichick are. And I think a lot of sports and a lot of being great is confidence. And I think when you have a leader like that in your coach, that makes you even that much better, because you 100% know whatever they're telling you to do, if you do it, you will win.
I love that you just said that, because what I feel like a big reason why...
I'm just going to interject real quick. Mike, that was a brilliant statement. I'm going to say that too. Go ahead, Anthony. That was a brilliant statement, Mike. Very good job.
A reason why Mike's statement... A reason why that could happen, and a reason why the Patriots sustained success, is because Bob Kraft has to buy into Bill Belichick. Tom Brady has to buy into what Bill Belichick is selling. Bill Belichick has to buy in and have his trust. Everybody has trust in each other, and despite all the outside, bullshit, they're able to put it to the side and still believe in each other no matter what, and that's why they have success, and that's why that trust is there.
Yeah, and it was the same thing with Eddie DeBartolo, Bill Walsh, Joe Montana. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. I mean, if you look at it, Steve Young was a greater quarterback than Joe Montana, if you go skill-wise. But George Seifert and Steve Young, not the same impact that those guys have. Same thing with Dallas when you had Johnson and Aikman. The problem was Jones screwed it up because, let's face it, and this is the most impressive thing out of all of this, all right? People can say they don't get along now, which they don't. They probably don't, all right? But they all respect each other enough that, not even respect is the word. I think what it is these are guys that just want to win. They don't care about who gets the credit. They just want to win. The thing that blew up the Dallas Cowboys was Jerry Jones could not stand being the reason why they won. And in the end, all great teams, it comes down to this. It shouldn't matter who gets the credit as long as the job gets done.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree, 100%, Mike. Again, hey, you're on a roll, buddy.
I don't know. So, like every other show, for a half hour, you tell me I'm an idiot, and then the other half you tell me I'm great.
Well, then you come up with some profound statement, and you win the game. Good for you. That's what great people do, Mike. That's why we love you. That's why we keep you on the radio show. Anthony, I
thought it was because I paid for everything.
Well, let me start this with Anthony. Let me start, and Mike, I want you to jump in. How much of this, Anthony, is Belichick, and how much of it is his assistants? I mean, we've got this whole thing on Josh McDaniels, who is the heir apparent to somewhere. Someday is going to save some other football team. Is this Belichick coaching this team, or is this him delegating to his assistants, and they're doing all the work, and he's getting all the credit? I think I know the answer. This is what I'm going to say, but let's Mike and Anthony answer the question.
I think Bill Belichick does delegate his philosophies and the way he wants things done to his assistants who go execute. It's like a pyramid effect.
I think the perfect example of this is this, Steve. You've talked about this with Knight. Knight coached a game. The assistant coaches coached the players. I think this. Right. I think every offensive and defensive game plan goes through Belichick. I think every call during the game, he hears that if he doesn't like it, he'll change it. But I think he does give them the freedom. If the game plan's good, he just lets them call the game. He coaches the game. They coach the players.
And his assistants, they get plenty of credit because they get head coaching jobs.
Yeah, they just fail
That's
miserably.
the credit. but that's the credit.
Yeah, there's never been one of the assistants who ever beat him.
He had a contract in his hands before he left the stadium to be the Miami Dolphins coach.
Yeah, and actually, I think Brian Flores will be
He needs a
one.
ton of credit.
I think Brian Flores may be the one guy that actually turns this around for Belichick assistants. And I think this. I think in the end, Brian Flores could be the one that takes over the AFC East after Belichick retires.
I don't think you're off there.
Repeat that again, Mike. I'm sorry.
I think this. I think when this Brady Belichick run ends, whether it's next year or 3 years from now, I think the Miami Dolphins with Brian Flores will be the team that will assume that mantle. Not at the pace that the Patriots are doing it. And I don't think it's crazy to say, because let's face it, the Bills are a mess, the Jets are a mess, and the Jets are always going to suck. So I think that Brian Flores, the next time a team outside of New England wins this division, it'll be Brian Flores' Miami Dolphins. And if Chris Cook's listening, you owe me dinner, because he's a Dolphins fan. But I think Flores, he is an excellent coach. I think Matt Patricia was not. I mean, the defense is why they lost the Super Bowl last year. And now all of a sudden, this defense is the reason they won the Super Bowl. That's the thing that's amazing, is how much better Belichick can make certain people. And I just think, I like Flores. When I watch him on the sideline, he looks like a guy that's a football coach. When I look at Sean McVay, he looks like a kid that's having a good time. Not yesterday, though.
I think that's unfair, Mike. I think it's unfair.
I don't care
I
if
think
it's
you're being unfair to Sean McVay.
I don't care.
I think he's young. He's got to pay his dues. He's got to learn how to coach. I mean, once again,
you're right. What you just said is why I say this. You got to pay your dues, and you've got to learn how to be a head coach. You don't learn it on the job.
How else do you learn it? What's better than laboratory training, or on field, or we have Cole Hanna who does our basketball stuff for Indiana, and we talked about him not being in a classroom somewhere learning it, yet we're putting him in. He's writing articles for us. He's gotten over 5,000 hits on his article. He's on our show now, on our Indiana Basketball Weekly show.
There is a huge difference
lab
between
work.
those two things. I know.
No, yes, there is a huge difference. It's a huge difference, but there is still an application that says nothing is ever better in life than just getting your ass kicked a couple of times and figuring out where you
Wait a second.
failed.
All right. I got you. Because earlier this season, Indiana lost the game to Arkansas. And me and Colin Hartman both made the statement that a lot of times losing is not the worst thing. It's actually a good thing because you can learn from it. And what Steve Risley told me, Anthony, was that was the dumbest statement I've ever heard. I sound like him a little bit too, don't I, Anthony? But he said, you don't ever learn a damn thing by losing. That's what you told me. So now you're telling me that Sean McVay and basically people in general need to get their ass kicked a few times so they can figure things out.
Okay, Mike. Let me just.
I think.
Please, hang on, Anthony. This is directed at me, so let me handle this one. Don't take what I said about. As an athlete, I never wanted to admit that there was anything positive about losing because, like Kitchell says,
and this is what we told you, and you still told us.
Most athletes, including yourself, hate losing more than they enjoy winning. most athletes will tell you that they hate
winning don't
losing.
matter. You just don't want to lose.
No, I said they hate it more than they
Oh, yeah,
enjoy
I
winning.
agree. Winning.
You expect to win. You hate to lose. So in that case, I never want to validate that I can get anything positive from losing. I'll learn from it, but I'm not saying it's a positive experience. There's a big difference there, Mike. And right now, I think Sean McVay is just going through this transition of learning how bad losing sucks, and he's going to get to a point where he hates losing. Now, is he going to be a Belichick? I don't know. Anybody's ever going to be a Belichick. I don't think you can ever now. He's the GOAT. You can't put anybody in his box right now. But can McVay get to a point where the Rams can win Super Bowls? They're talented. He's a good young coach. He got his team there. They were relevant last year. They're relevant again. They're going to be relevant next year.
No, they're not. They're not.
Maybe
I don't think they're a
well,
playoff team next year. I think what you got to remember is they signed
Wow,
a lot of players,
that's a big
Anthony,
statement.
for a lot of money and for 1 year, and they better have a hell of a draft, or they're going to have to spend a ton of money again to pull this off again.
You know, I agree there that there is not a guarantee that the Rams are back. Look at the regression of the Philadelphia Eagles, and if you look at the roster makeup of the Eagles last year and the Rams this year, they both signed a ton of big-name free agents. Some of them were one and done. Some of them were aging veterans. You have Whitworth could retire. If they lose him, that could be a big loss. And also another key loss for the Rams potentially. Yes, not Sitton.
What's his name?
Saffold. Roger Saffold is going to be a free agent.
Yeah,
He's
and the Cincinnati Bengals are going to sign him. The Bengals are going to sign him.
And plus, they have a lot of defensive guys. Sue, Corey Littleton, Joyner. They're all free agents.
Yeah.
All right. Are you guys done? Are you guys done?
Well, we're right.
Here's the deal.
So go ahead.
First off, there's a lot of fact in what you're saying. I'll give you that. First off, this is Los Angeles. Money means nothing out here.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
it
the
means
Rams
absolutely
mean
nothing
to the people too. So
the Rams are building the most extravagant, exotic stadium in all of football that is going to be opening in a year.
Yeah.
This is the second largest TV market in the world. Next, probably only to New York. That we know that we can capture data on. I'm sure Beijing may be bigger, Tokyo. I don't know. But my point is, they are not going to let this Rams team. The NFL is not going to let this Rams team break up. This is you go back to the infamous call, and we've all done a conspiracy theory on that thing. They wanted the Rams in this game. And we can go back and start debating that crap again. L.A. is not going anywhere, guys. They're here for a while.
Okay. That's wrong, because I'll tell you what, the ratings...
They've got a good young coach. They've got a good young quarterback.
Steve.
Todd Gurley still, when he gets healthy, will be fine.
Yeah, they've got a good young quarterback. Kid was awesome.
McDonald is the defensive player of the year.
McDonald.
Ronald? Donald, Aaron Donald, whatever his name is, McDonald.
Right. You do realize that with this great TV market in L.A., that the ratings were down like 6% from last year's Patriots-Eagles.
Yeah, because they're both two big East Coast teams. Sure. Yeah, I get that.
Wait.
No problem.
Wait a second. So Philly's as
That's
big
a huge
as LA?
rivalry.
It's a huge rivalry?
It's a huge, yeah. New England, yeah. I would
Eagles
call
and the
Eagles.
Patriots?
It would be a big rivalry game, yeah. That's two East Coast cities. It's a rivalry, Mike. It's not the teams. It's the cities.
Wait a second, though.
Philly hates Boston. Boston hates Philly.
If this is
the Flyers, the Eagles, the Saints. I mean, what's the Phillies? What's the hockey team in Philadelphia?
The Flyers.
The Flyers. The Sixers, the Celtics. You can go and name.
Wait a second, though. You can't give me
Boston
this crap that they need L.A. when the TV ratings are down when it's L.A.
Anthony, am I right
the Rams
here?
Are
is Boston, Philly? Anthony,
is there what?
Mike. Anthony, is Boston, Philly one of the greatest sports rivalries in all professional sports?
I don't think the Patriots-Eagles
All of them.
Boston, Philly. You know what?
Patriots,
the Eagles
Eagles?
fans, that is kind of a rivalry.
Because they
yeah.
hate the Patriots. It was
And I
not,
live
put it
on
like this.
I live
Hey,
right in the middle of it.
Was it a rivalry in
Yeah.
1970? Was it a rivalry in 1986? It's not a rivalry. They play once every 4 years.
They
That's
play almost
stupid.
every preseason.
Wow. If it's the
You're like my
76ers
wife.
and
They
Celtics,
scrimmage.
You're like my wife.
They scrimmage.
You pick out one year and you pick out one specific incident and
No, that's what
argue
you
that
just
point
did.
of one specific incident.
That's what you just
and don't
did.
look at the body
it's
of
not a
work and
rivalry,
say,
Steve. They play once
It's
every
not-
4 years. And
the
you
Bruins
just told
and
me
the
you
Flyers
just told
are not
me
a rivalry. The
Bruins
Celtics and
and
the
the Flyers?
Sixers are not a rivalry.
The Celtics-
I got
I
a
just
picture
said the Cel-
on my
what the-
wall of Bird
what does the
choking
Celtics
Johnson or
Sixers?
Irving,
What does the
and Irving
Celtics? Are you
choking
just going to continue
Bird.
to ramble? I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, because I'm just
Shut
trying
up.
to out-ramble you.
Hear my fucking point. Boston and L.A. is not a rivalry, then, right?
No, it's just a vanity. That's a vanity.
You're an idiot.
That's two completely different cities.
God.
That's
So,
East Coast.
wait a second. So you're
That's-
telling me that the Lakers-Celtics was not a rivalry?
Yeah, that was because of Magic and Bird. You
Because
and I
of
both
Magic
agree
and
on that.
Bird? Okay, so the Lakers and Celtics weren't a rivalry in the 60s when they played in the finals like 6 times?
Well, they were the Minneapolis Lakers then, you idiots.
Really? I'm an idiot, but yet you think the Lakers were in Minneapolis in the 1960s. Jesus, I thought you were a basketball expert.
I would bet at some point the Minneapolis Lakers were in the Minneapolis in the 1960s.
In the 1960s?
I would bet so, but I could be wrong.
So
Regardless.
you're telling me that the
There's
Minneapolis Lakers played the Boston Celtics in the finals?
No, I don't think they did. Oh, they may have. I don't know. They won 11 championships in that
They
run.
couldn't
I don't
have,
know who
may
they all
have,
played.
because
So.
the Lakers.
All right,
I
what
hate
are we
to tell
arguing
you
here?
this.
How do
Wait
we
a
get off of
second.
Belichick? And
Well, do we
okay.
want to get off the history of the Lakers then, since you're so inadequately wrong?
Yeah, get off of it. You're right. You win this one, Mike. I give you this battle. You win.
Okay.
I anoint you the
don't
champion
give
of
it
this
to
cause.
me. You just lost it. So
Okay, I lost it. Yes, you're right. I lost it.
because the team moved to Los Angeles before the 1960-61 season. There was never a Minneapolis Lakers in the 1960s.
All right, okay. I'm off by a year, 2, 3, or 4 years, whatever. I apologize.
Yeah, that's what it
So
was.
all the sports fans are still listening to us because we're being stupid.
How
I
are we being
apologize.
stupid?
I did
You're
it.
the one that sits here and tells me the Lakers Celtics aren't a rivalry, but the Eagles and Patriots are.
So, Anthony,
Yes.
Mike has this big professional and conspiracy theory
I
that
don't have
Belichick
it.
is
No,
going
in
to the Cowboys.
2020.
Anthony, you're the Cowboys guy. Is Belichick going to the Cowboys now? Has he done all he can do with Boston? And he's going to go with Jerry Jones,
Once
take the
again,
money,
I said 2020,
and-
not this year.
and rebuild the Cowboys.
Yeah,
Anthony, what do you think?
I get his conspiracy theory because of, Jason
Novel.
Garrett's.
I love it.
He's a lame duck coach, and things might not be on the best terms with Belichick, Brady, and Kraft, especially if Brady wants to play and Belichick wants to bring in a new quarterback. There things could happen, and the fact that Bill Parcells managed to go to Dallas, I think it could happen. I just don't know. It's too far-fetched. I'd be too, as a Cowboys fan, I can't even think about that.
Remember this, as a Cowboys fan, at
flustered.
one point it was far-fetched to think they would ever get Bill Parcells.
That's true.
Mike, you want to rebuke that? What do you think, Mike?
No,
You're the one who's
because
kind
just
of. I mean,
said
I
what
like
grew up
the
there.
theory.
I
I'd love to
said
see it happen.
in the next
I'd love
2
to see it happen.
years, I think it'll happen. I think it will happen in the next 2 years because I think that Brady is probably done after next year. I mean, I do see decline in Brady. I mean, it's still
Sure, yeah.
he's the guy I want in the last 5 minutes of the Super Bowl to go win the game because it seems like every Super Bowl he's won, he's driven the ball down the
First
field to win
55
the game.
scare you to death. Yeah, the first 55 scare you to death, but
Yeah,
and they don't really scare you to death. Yeah,
He was
you know.
was not great yesterday. He was rough, but
No, he wasn't. No,
when the time came, he was a stud.
he stepped up to the plate. Right.
Yeah. So when I look at that, I mean, I do. I think it's possible he goes somewhere else. I couldn't see Belichick retiring right now because Belichick is kind of like a guy like Bear Bryant or something. I don't know that there's anything else that he'd really want to do with his life.
Did,
hell.
So, Mike, I asked you a question because, again, I totally respect your ability to coach and your coaching knowledge. If Belichick made this move, and he had success, this obviously would validate him as the greatest coach of all time if he could go do it with another team. Is that something he needs on his resume, or is he comfortable just staying in New England saying, I did it all here? Or does he go to Dallas?
Hey, this is the thing. Most coaches that have statues built of themselves, it's because they stayed in one place the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Larry Brown was as good a basketball coach as you'll ever find, but no statues to him anywhere. Never anywhere long enough to do that. I don't think Belichick really gives two craps what the media says about him. But I think if he wants to continue to coach, it's obvious that Brady 1 or 2 years left at most. I think that's why, after a while, maybe he leaves. I mean, he could get the same effect by taking another quarterback and continuing this. But
okay, does that knock him down if he leaves? Does that knock him down? Does that knock him down a notch? Or if he kind of does the Belichick thing, or the Parcells thing, where he kind of just starts floundering around at different teams.
Parcells didn't flounder.
The Cowboys.
Parcells didn't flounder.
Well,
Parcells going to other places made him greater, I think. I mean,
but what team
wait a second.
Where did Parcells get his greatness from? The Giants, right?
Well, no. To me, Parcells got his greatness because, he won with the Giants, and he built that Giants team with Belichick.
Right.
Then
he goes
the
to
playoffs
Dallas.
With Perkins in 81.
Then he goes to the Jets.
No.
Then he kind of tries to duplicate it.
That's not the way it went. After he left the Giants, he did TV for a while, and he was terrible at it. But he went to the Patriots, and he took them to the Super Bowl, Steve. And after that, he left right after taking them to the Super Bowl. He had the Jets in the lead in Denver in 1998 to go to the Super Bowl. And Benny Testaverde peed his pants in the fourth quarter. And then he retires again. He comes back to the Cowboys. And maybe the best coaching job he ever did was taking an atrocious Quincy Carter and taking him all the way to the playoffs, Anthony.
Yeah, wow. Quincy Carter, that brings me back.
Yeah.
But I think, Parcells, he turned around, I believe, every team he was ever with.
Yeah,
he
agree.
did a decent job in Dallas. I mean, he discovered, if it wasn't for Bill Parcells, there would be no Tony Romo.
Well, if it wasn't for Bill Parcells, maybe there wouldn't be a Bill Belichick. Somebody had to give him a job. Man, Parcells is the one that said, once I got him, I didn't even worry about the defense anymore. Parcells, Belichick ran the defense. So,
all right, Anthony.
Yes.
Does Dallas want Bill Belichick?
I think anybody should want Bill Belichick.
Okay, all right. Well, I just want to throw it out there. Jerry Jones may say, nope, I don't know that I want him.
Yeah, but you said Dallas, not Jerry Jones. Anthony is Dallas.
Well, Jerry Jones is Dallas.
He likes to be. All right.
All right, wait, let me ask one more question here. Since we're winding up here. Great win for New England. I think I put it out there on Twitter yesterday. Old age and treachery once again beat youth and exuberance. They're just good. Let me ask you a question, though, Anthony, and Mike, chime in. Is Tony Romo good at what he does? I kind of like the guy.
I enjoy him. I think he's a fresh change.
He calls it. Mike, does he call it right most of the time?
I think he sucks. He's a cowboy. I still prefer Chris Collinsworth and Al Michaels. But I do. Yeah. He's starting to grow on me like a bad bacteria. Because, I find his voice kind of annoying. I think he's kind of like a young John Madden, the way he gets excited, which annoys me. Because, you go back to
Isn't that what's fun about it?
I don't know. I like Dickenberg and Merlin Olsen, Kirk Gowdy. I like guys that just call the game sometimes. I am starting to like him a little bit more. I'm just worried he's going to start trying to predict too many things just because he got a couple right in that championship game.
There's truth to that.
I thought he did a great job on the interview with Tom Brady in the pregame.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't see that because we were watching Puppet Bowl 15 with Magic and Enzo.
Yeah.
So we didn't get to see pregame. Anthony, one last thing. At postgame, there was a monumental video shown of Robert Kraft hugging, kissing, loving on Tom Brady. I did not see the same thing with Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick. Does that signal anything, or is that just my imagination?
No.
I think it does, because I think maybe it says that Bill Belichick's too old and Robert Kraft doesn't really find him attractive anymore.
So there's no validation. There's nothing to read into that at all. That
no, of course not. He did the same thing with Julian Edelman too.
Yeah, but I mean, he's done it 6 times with Brady, where he's now gone up and, there was a big long embrace. It was on the opening scene of the Today Show this morning on NBC of Kraft and Brady. Just kind of, it seemed like they were reminiscing over all of them. And yet you don't see that video with Belichick and Kraft. I mean, does that, again, just get beyond the humor of it, does that signal anything that where Kraft would go at this point if there is rift between Brady and Belichick and he's got to make a choice? Does that signal anything, or am I just trying to, get into People Magazine too much?
I think the Jimmy Garoppolo thing would tell you which way Kraft would go. Man, it's crazy because you could have Belichick for another 5 or 10 years. You could only have Brady for a couple more.
So you're saying that he's going to stay with Belichick as long as Belichick wants to be there?
No, I'm saying he stays with
Brady.
Yeah,
and I kind of agree with that. I think I agree with that.
Because he would not have let Garoppolo go if he was going to go with Belichick. That's why I think Belichick either retires at some point in the next year or two, or he goes
to Cowboys.
Well, I mean, the thing with the Cowboys is it makes sense because
I'd love
that's
to see
where
it.
the most
I
money
would love
is.
to see it.
I wouldn't. I'd hate it because we'd never hear from Anthony then because he'd have Bill Belichick.
Oh, I want Anthony's team to win as bad as I want my Colts to win. I want the Bengals to win.
I want both your teams to lose. Nope, I don't care. I don't even want my team to win because of me. I find all three of us rather annoying and over the top, but I'm thinking about just becoming a Browns fan because they think they're going to win the Super Bowl, and Browns fans are stupid because they're not.
So one last question. Then I know we got to get Bobby on here and start talking about picks. We got college basketball going on and football's over with. Anthony, are we going to keep doing the show every week? Just kind of maybe take a break here for a week or two, then come back on and still kind of do we're getting back into OTAs here pretty soon.
Listen, I'm open to do a football show every week. I do it myself, so why not?
I think
there's
a
draft,
Mondays,
there's a
Mike
combine, there's a draft.
Yeah, Mike.
Football.
Let's keep Mondays is with Anthony, and let's just keep that going. We got draft coming up. We got combines coming up. We got. I think we stay with it. Anthony, are you on board? Mike, are you on board?
Yes, I am.
I'm always on board. Hell, 3 of our 5 shows a
Monday,
week will still be about football.
Next Monday, we start talking about the draft. How's that? We start talking about the draft.
Or free agency.
Or free agency. Yeah, we got free agency to go through first.
Or we could go through and grade the new head coaching assignments because all these jobs are filled.
We have opportunity to keep the show going. That's the most important thing. We'll figure out our topics. But I enjoy Anthony being a part of it.
I have a lot of fun.
In the end, last question I'll ask you guys, because you guys are smarter than me at this. Was this a great Super Bowl or not? Because it's being banned as a boring Super Bowl.
No, it was not a great Super Bowl, but it was a good football game. I mean, people that are in love with offenses, to me, as I wrote in the article I wrote today on thegrilling.truth.net, what's the difference between this and 54-50? I mean, basically, what I saw yesterday was this. I didn't see two bad offenses. What I saw were two defenses that were great. It is like the Rams and Chiefs 54-51. I didn't see two horrible defenses. I saw two offenses that were unstoppable that day. This game was still not decided until the last 5 minutes. And for people to say this is the worst Super Bowl ever is just absolutely ignorant. When I watched Washington and Denver be 35-10 at halftime, I saw San Diego get destroyed by the 49ers. This was a game that was close. I'll compare it to this, Anthony, and I'll let you answer. 1991 World Series Game 7. One of the greatest games I ever saw, and it was 1-0. I mean, it was close. It was tense. This, to me, was like a pitcher's duel in a Game 7.
Yeah, I enjoyed the Super Bowl, and when you think about the Super Bowl, I think everybody gets wrapped up in the commercials, and it's almost like a WrestleMania, where when you go to a WrestleMania, it's not about so much the wrestling, it's about the spectacle, who's going to be there, the fireworks, and that's almost what people expect out of the Super Bowl. So when the game is not high scoring, and especially with the impact of fantasy football, and everybody cares about stats, that might kill it for some people, but for the real people who love football, this was a great game.
I sat at home and watched the game alone. My wife and my son went to a Super Bowl party in Beverly Hills. I chose not to go because I really wanted to watch the game. And I didn't want to be bothered with people ding-danging with commercials or things like that. I really want to see a great football game. I think I got a great football game. And the fact that it was, it was one drive where a champion rose to the occasion and led his team on his mission and got it accomplished. And I think that makes for great theater. It makes for different theater. But I thoroughly thought that there's no way this was the worst Super Bowl I've ever seen. This was a great strategic battle of a great veteran coach, a young up-and-coming coach, matching wits, and one got outwitted pretty badly. And you had a seasoned quarterback who rose to the occasion once again at an age where we don't think these guys are going to rise to that occasion, and performed admirably and did what he needed to do to win the game. As you said, Mike, it was not his best performance ever in a Super Bowl. And I think Edelman deserved the MVP, but I think Belichick was the real MVP of this Super Bowl, in my opinion.
I think the real MVP of the Super Bowl should just go to the entire New England Patriots defense.
And that's fair, too. That's very fair, too.
Yeah.
Yes,
Let's
I
face
agree.
it, they're never giving it to a coach. They won't even give him Coach of the Year. Hell, this is the thing.
So,
why shouldn't he have been Coach of the Year this year? They started
I'm saying, why would Belichick not be Coach of the Year this year? I mean, you talk about of all the times, he had probably less to work with this year than he's had in a long time, and he got it accomplished again. I was going to bring that up midway through the show. Why would we not say Bill Belichick is not Coach of the Year?
Because he can't be, because he's great. Usually the coaches that win Coach of the Year are just mediocre coaches nobody expects anything from.
Yeah, you're right.
Marvin Lewis has won it twice, dude. He's the epitome of
the guy in Chicago, whatever his name is.
Well, he's new, so I mean, it's either a mediocre guy or a new guy that surprises people.
New guy, yeah, or McVay or somebody young.
Jason Garrett's won it before, hadn't he, Anthony?
What's that?
The Coach of the Year.
Coach of the Year.
No,
he didn't. I thought maybe he did the year they lost to Green Bay in the playoffs because they went 13-3 and nobody expected it.
In the end, nobody outcoached once again Bill Belichick,
and nobody ever will.
Nobody ever will. Yeah, I gotta give you props on that, Mike. I'm a Vince Lombardi fan because that was what I knew when I was growing up. But Belichick has superlatively passed him. I mean, he's moved beyond Vince Lombardi. He's done more.
And real quick, Wade Phillips is a
here's one last question. One last question. Did you guys love or hate the NFL's 100th anniversary commercial.
I
thought that was fabulous.
I didn't.
Yeah, it was excellent.
I didn't see it.
It was excellent.
I know this, though, and I'm going to end on this. Maroon 5 sucks. Maroon 5's as bad as Jason Whitlock.
That was the worst halftime show of all time.
But they all suck.
You thought what? You thought what? What, Anthony?
That had to be the worst halftime. You couldn't hear anything.
Yeah. What they need to do with halftime is just do Frisbee dogs. They need to do Frisbee dogs. They need to get, Pee Wee football out there. They need to get away from the big act. They want to make political statements.
Do you think Maroon 5's a big act?
Yeah, Maroon 5's a pretty big band. They're fairly large.
Do you think because of how bad the halftime show was and the fact that a lot of artists were boycotting it and didn't want to be involved, do you think the NFL is going to – does that help No, because that's big. That's a big flop.
You know what I think? I think what this could lead to is the NFL might start paying halftime acts. I think that's why, everybody says they boycott it because of political reasons or whatever. But I think if you were dropping a couple $1 million on them, they would probably play for you. I mean, the NFL wants it for free.
I would rather see Frisbee dogs, some
Metallica should play at
down.
Super Bowl 54 next year, right during the Bengals and Cowboys Super Bowl game.
Yeah, it was a flop, and I'm tired of it. I mean, like I said, I was flipping back between probably Bowl 15.
I may have. I hated Coldplay too. I just wanted to bring that up. And going into it, I'd never heard of Maroon 5 or Coldplay. All right. We're going to go ahead and wrap this part of the segment up. We will be back. Thank you to Anthony again.
And thanks for having me, guys.
Anthony, next Monday we talk free agency, all right?
Absolutely.
So you get on board.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. We will be back.
We're on for the year.
In 1 minute and 11 seconds to talk to Bobby Sheridan from the Sheridan Report. We'll be back right after this.
Thanks, Anthony.
Hey, sports fans. Chris and Graham here from the Grueling Truth Network.
Baseball's boring. It's too slow. Where's the fun in it? If you think that, then why the hell aren't you listening to Out of Left Field with us on thegruelingtruth.net?
On our show, we make baseball way more than just a bunch of numbers. You laugh with us, probably yell at us, and hopefully learn a thing or two from us.
Ever wonder what it's like to be a major league umpire or why they made the call they did? Lucky for you, we have our own umpire on the show, even have big league umpires stopping by from time to time, and even the occasional big leaguer or two.
And all of that's just the first 10 minutes. Come on by and join the fun. Listen to Out of Left Field with Grant and me every week on thegruelingtruth.net, and give us a follow on Twitter and Facebook.
Just search Out of Left Field with Chris and Graham and like our page on Facebook, or use our Twitter handle at @OOLeftField. It's that simple. See you all this week when we put the ball in play on Out of Left Field.
All right, guys, we are back on Survive in Advance. I'm Mike Goodpaster with Steve Risley, and we will be. You know what I just did, Steve?
What did you do?
I did something stupid. We're going to have Bobby Sheridan from the Sheridan Report on, and the thing I did was this. I had to pee really bad during the commercial break, and I forgot to dial up Bobby's number before I did it.
Hey, Mike, no, wait, while you're doing that, I went on to your Cincinnati shirt company, and I ordered a Grueling Truth podcast T-shirt this morning.
It was about time. Everybody needs.
I paid full price for it too. Well, I didn't get a discount. I didn't even get a discount.
Well, you don't need a discount because actually, if you go to the Grueling Truth, if you go to Cincy Shirts or you go to the Grueling Truth Facebook page, you can find Grueling Truth T-shirts. They are like $25 or $30, but the reason they're
$28
like that is because
$28.
They can print them one at a time that way. Yeah,
they did. Yeah, I ordered one. So I'm going to be wearing one. A Grueling Truth T-shirt from Cincy Shirt Company, which you can get. I ordered one, got one coming in, a white one. I got white because good guys always wear white. You probably want black because bad guys wear black.
I want black. I definitely do.
Yeah.
I'd rather be the bad guy. But
and it slims you down. So
Well, I don't care about it. I've already slimmed down. I'm on that plant-based diet. I've lost 34 pounds in a month.
yeah, good for you.
Man,
And as soon as you get off the plant-based diet, you'll put 48 back on.
I won't get off of it because the food is so much better. And I found something called the Beyond Burger, which actually tastes better than a hamburger, and it's made from plants. But that being what it is, Risley would rather me be fat, stupid, and die at 55
Yeah, then you
than
obviously
eat
have
healthy.
not been out to L.A. and had an In-N-Out burger. You have no idea. Or a Wahlburger.
Whatever. You have no clue. You really don't. You just let the government kill you with all the chemicals in the food and everything. That's fine, Steve. But right
Mike,
now,
I'm going to get hit by a bus. At some point, I'm going to get hit by a bus and die. I'm going to sit there and think that I ate all this plant-based food and
you know why
shit
you'll
green
get hit
all my
by
life.
a bus? You'll get hit by a bus because you'll be like 78. You'll get out of a nursing home with dementia. You'll stagger into the street and a bus will hit you. And on that note, I want to welcome Bobby Sheridan from the Sheridan Report to the show. How you doing, Bobby?
Bobby, my man Bobby Sheridan.
What a note to bring me in on. Come on, guys. Risley 78. Risley 78 staggering into the nursing home. I mean, we can do better than that.
Yeah, it's going to happen. If I get to 78, that's the big question.
Oh, come on. That's a no-brainer. That's a lock.
No. You know what happened? What happened? Christophe St. John. I'm going to pull this up again. Where did I find this? He's an actor on The Young and the Restless, 52 years old. He passed away yesterday, and he's one of the main characters on Young and the Restless, a show that I watch all the time. Young and the Restless started dead at 52.
Yeah,
His
but
son
you already...
died by
What did he die from? What did he die from?
It's unreported right now.
If he'd have been
his
on a
son passed
plant-based
away
diet, he probably wouldn't have died. I just wanted to bring that up.
as skinny as he was, he probably was on a plant-based
true,
diet.
No, he
Most
wasn't,
of these
because he
guys
wouldn't have
are.
died yet. It's hard to, he was probably on
We don't
drugs.
know.
That's probably a meth head.
but-
That's why he was so skinny.
Oh, come on, Mike.
That's what
That's
happens
not
at the trailer
fair.
park.
He was a major player on Young and the Restless. He had a key role in the soap opera, and when 52 years old is young for anybody to pass away, and he will be missed by all of us that love watching Young and the Restless,
Okay.
which is probably only
doubt.
me.
What does that have to
Yeah.
do with Bobby Sheridan? And the
Maybe only
Sheridan
you
Report?
listening right now, but there's a ton of them that are into those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
You
they're
know
all
what?
watching those things right now. They're not paying attention to us.
It's been going
Well,
on
they
for an hour.
should be. They should be, because I'm going to give out both top plays, and I like both these games tonight.
But
But I'm
wait,
gonna-
Bobby, last night you and I were tweeting back and forth at 4 a.m. LA time. And I was watching the Poseidon Adventure with Gene Hackman and Leslie Nielsen. I mean, the original Poseidon Adventure. Is that a great movie or
I was
what?
just-
Irwin Allen. Did we determine that was Irwin Allen's first venture into disaster movies? Or was Airport? Well, I think Airport. Did he do Airport in 1970 with Dean Martin? And, that was the original. I think that was the original disaster movie, was Airport. George Kennedy, Charlton Heston.
Airport was in
Dean Martin.
1970, I think. Poseidon
Yeah, I
Adventure,
think that was
wasn't it
the
like
original.
73 or something?
Well, they came out with Airport 75, which had Charlton Heston again and George Kennedy again, but it had Karen Black instead of Jacqueline Bisset, who Jacqueline Bisset was much better than Karen
I'm
Black.
pretty sure that the Poseidon Adventure was like 72 or 73, so it was 2 or 3 years after the Airport movie.
After that, yeah, I think that was the original. Then came Towering Inferno, then came Earthquake, all the Irwin Allen disaster movies. It's a big thing. And Bobby and I are tweeting back and forth. I'm like, this idiot keeps tweeting me back. I'm like, stop tweeting me back so I can stop tweeting you, because I've always got to get the last word in. And he keeps tweeting back. I'm like, shut up and go to bed so I can go to bed.
Yeah, well, I finally got.
And then after the Poseidon Adventure, I watched Silverado, which is the greatest modern Western of all time. Danny
I'm gonna have to
Glover,
check out some of these.
Scott Glenn, Kevin Costner, Kevin Kline, Brian Dennehy. Linda Hunt. That is the greatest modern Western of all time, is Silverado.
Disaster movies wouldn't. The Last Days of Pompeii was in the 1950s.
Yeah, that wasn't Irwin Allen, though. I'm not sure Irwin Allen was making movies in the 50s.
There was a William Wellman picture called The High and the Mighty in like the early 50s. I think it had John Wayne in it.
Was that an airplane movie?
The John Wayne one, The High and the Mighty? Yeah, it was Tough Guy Pilots. I think it was him and Robert Stack.
Tough Guy Pilots.
And there was also a movie in 1937 called Old Chicago, which was directed by Harry King. A lot of good film noir in it.
Yeah. But, the greatest John Wayne movie all time, though, was Flying Tigers.
I like Sands of Iwo Jima.
That was good, too. Except Stryker dies, and, just when I'm the happiest I've ever been, he's dead. There's actually a...
What about Airplane? Wasn't Airplane a disaster movie? They crashed.
Well, Airplane was actually a spoof on Airport. If you go back to Airport,
but it was
the original
still
Airport 75, it was kind of a spoof on the disaster movies. But if you go back and watch Airport 75, and then you go watch Airplane with Robert Hayes and Julie Haggerty and Lorna Luft and Barbara Billingsley, who's the Beaver's mom. Ward, you've been kind of hard on the Beaver last night. You were kind of hard on the Beaver last night, Ward. Yeah, you got to think that one through.
No, you don't. I didn't have to think that through at all. And the other one, the original Titanic movie was made in the 1950s too, A Night to Remember.
A Night to Remember, yeah, with Barbara Stanwyck. Yes, and I think and John Barrymore, maybe? I don't know.
I don't remember who was in it. I just remembered that the book, or it was based on the book by Walter Lord, who wrote a nonfiction book about the sinking of the Titanic.
Well, that's kind of where the unsinkable Molly Brown kind of came into play, too. She's where she kind of became famous, who actually married into money, a Denver oil guy or Denver gold mining guy. Molly Brown married into it and became filthy rich. I think he died or something, and she got all the money. And she became a world traveler.
How about this? Would Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds be a disaster movie?
Tippi Hedren. And Rod Taylor. Great movie.
Yeah.
I never understood that movie, though. I never really got the premise of what that whole thing was about.
I did forget one other thing. We forgot about Bobby. Hey, Bobby, how you doing?
Bobby, what's up, Bobby?
Hey, I'm listening to you guys just talk about your movies, and, I'm just wondering.
Okay. Last one. The greatest film noir movie of all time, though, was Sunset Boulevard, with William Holden and what was it? It was not Olivia de Havilland, not Joan Crawford. Who was the female lead in Sunset Boulevard? We've actually seen that house. That house actually exists where they filmed that. Anyway, go ahead. Go on. Bobby,
wait a second. You can't just call something the greatest and not have me, argue with you.
Well, look it up. Google.
I'm not Googling anything. I don't have to. I got John Raspani as a friend. He tells me all the good film noir movies to watch. I also got Joe Rodriguez up in New Jersey. But I think the greatest film noir movie was Double Indemnity in 1944.
Double Indemnity with with Barbara Stanwyck and Fred McMurray. I was going to say that. And E.G. Marshall, no doubt. I just watched that 2 nights ago.
Yeah, I think it was directed. You said Fred McMurray too, didn't you? From My Three Sons was in it.
Yeah, Fred McMurray. Yeah. Fred McMurray was definitely That was a great one. I have that on my DVR it's my go-to film noir movie is Double Indemnity.
The director, I think, was Billy Wilder, wasn't it?
Yeah, Billy Wilder did all those things. He did.
All right, we still got to get with Bobby Sheridan from the Sheridan Report. How you doing, Bobby?
Gloria Swanson played. I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille.
All right, Bobby, let's get back to sports with Bobby Sheridan from the Sheridan Report.
Why?
Because I like Bobby.
You guys are punishing me. I don't know why. I did something, like maybe a Rams pick or something, but I got good stuff.
Risley was the Rams pick. I was the one that said it would be low scoring.
We all did. We all liked the under, and that came through. And everybody had some good things to say. You were all over Wade Phillips and the Rams and playing good D, and and we all were intrigued what the Rams may do offensively, and I was on the positive side, and you were on the negative side, and Steve was on the hopeful side, and we all had our moments. Steve was the only guy to mention Edelman winning the MVP. He did say that he thought the defense would win it for whoever. He liked the Rams, but he said for whoever, you know.
He said the Rams would win, so I don't even want to hear this.
Yeah,
he didn't
but
pick
no,
Edelman
I
to win
did.
the MVP.
I did.
As a
He liked the
loser.
defense. I went back and listened to the tape. He liked the defense, and then he liked either Edelman or Gurley to win the Super Bowl. And Edelman was open 25-1, and then he was 22-1, and I actually had him at 12. In the odds I was looking at when we did the show, but that was Steve's good thing. And then, you know, Mike, you were really, really on. Basically, you know, New England being a really tough to beat, and Belichick with the 2 weeks. I tried to sell McVay being using those 2 weeks, and then he said he got out coached, and that's good leadership, and he's right. He told the truth, and he did. He wasn't able to make enough things happen. And I want to mention two things from the betting side of it. There's a million things we could talk about, but there's two that I thought were kind of interesting. There was a guy, they call him Better X. X is his name.
Was it the guy that bet like $4 million on the Rams or something?
Yeah, he had won $20 million the last couple of years from Vegas on these major events, and Houston Astros a couple of years ago when they beat the Dodgers, and then last year the Eagles upset, and he invested some more money and he lost with the Rams. That was a $3.8 million loss. And the other one I thought was kind of neat was there was a bettor at the South Point. He wagered $250 that the Rams would score only 3 points. And that got him 400-1. It got him 100,000.
That ain't bad.
And can you imagine what he was feeling like when Zerline came out there with like 8 seconds left to make that a 13-6 game? I mean, 100,000 on the line. Zerline, hooks it left, and that was a couple tense moments for the guy. But anyhow,
hey Bobby, was there anybody that bet on the fact that Brady's first pass in the Super Bowl would be a pick?
That was offered, and I think it was, I want to say it was a 500-1 or something. It was offered as a prop, and he,
Did anybody take it? Do you know? Do you have a way of knowing if anybody took it or not?
I didn't hear any big tickets or anything substantial. There's probably a lot of guys, for $10 and stuff like that, but there was nothing that netted any huge win.
Yeah. But who'd have thunk that? Brady's first pass would be a pick.
Yeah, and the game started so great for the Rams, getting that early turnover and things, it's just, wow, too tough one if you're on the Rams yesterday. But
so,
hey,
how bad? Who won the gambling end of things last night? Did the house win because the Patriots won? Was still all the heavy betting on the Patriots, or
yeah?
What?
The house wins because they get so much of the prop money. If they can stay away from a major disaster on that, they're going to be good. And then they stayed away from the Rams winning straight up. A straight up Rams win was going to hurt them a little bit. I think a New England win was fine. Some places it wasn't fine, but overall, they, even though the number came down on the under, they made money on that. It's hard for them to lose because they throw so many options out there, and they have the best of the lines, and
so the most people bet over on were the bulk of the bets on the over under.
I think they moved the line down a bit, but I think most books needed the under to be, to win, and I think most
they got
books,
the under, right? They got the under.
They got the under easily, yeah, and
easily got the under.
There's just a trade-off on a lot of that straight stuff, but I know the Rams money line was going to hurt a lot of the books, and they stayed away from that. And
they never went to 3. They never took it there, though, did they?
They never took it there. That was really smart, and that was the big discussion, for 2 weeks that we had. And
we had it for 2 weeks. You said just be patient. It's going to go to 3, and it never went there.
At the very end, we both decided, you know what, it's not ever going to get to 3, and that's why I took the 2.5. And it wound up about 2. It was about,
So does that say that in the end that most of the people, the betting houses thought the Rams were going to win this game?
Yes, I think that was New England has a lot of sentiment, and they always get a lot of action. They still wound up having over 60% of the tickets written were on New England, but some of the big better money did come in late on the Rams, and I don't know if they got to their number of $7 million, 7-figure bets, but I know that 3 or 4 were on the Rams the last I saw. So, a lot of the big money did come in and very interesting. But the great thing about betting is, that's a major day and it's a big, everybody looks at it, but hey, we're on to the next day. And I've already looked at tomorrow's card. And,
wait, before we move on, can I ask one more question? And Mike, jump in here, Mike. Let me dominate this conversation. I'm sorry. I'm curious about all this because I'm starting to learn about it. What were the biggest prop bets, and how did they play out? What were what you saw the betting lines? What were the biggest prop bets? Because I think the prop bets are what's fun. It's like, is Brady going to throw a pick on the first pass?
Well, the thing is that half of the
what were the biggest prop bets?
I don't really follow the props as much as some people do. Some people are totally into this, and we could answer that question for you, really well. But I know that the prop money is making about 50% of the total take. That's how big it's getting.
Yeah, it's sucker money.
Yeah,
You're betting on a coin toss. You're betting on instant gratification.
And one thing to remember, guys, is some of these bets, like how many times will Romo say this? I heard Mike say something along the lines of, well, he should just shut up, not say anything, and bet $1 million on himself. And, the thing about it is you can only bet so much money on some of those weird props. They only, maybe $200 or $500, might be the max. So they're just for interest. Like the Gladys Knight, there was a controversy there because it went home of the Brave. Her first Brave was like at 150 something, which made it over, and then her last, 140 something, which made it an under. But her last Brave, as she extended it out, was 2 minutes 1 second, something like that. And so one of the houses just paid both. They paid the over and the under because they didn't want the people to be upset in the discrepancy of when they should cut it off at the time. They paid both sides because it's just $100 bets, $40 bets, $50 bets. It's okay, that's a good move. And some of the big ones, I don't know. I know that landing between 10 and 14 points was going to be a big loss for a couple of the casinos, a couple of the books, and it's that 13-3, that last field goal by Gostkowski, I know helped some books stay out of that range. Somebody had a pretty big bet on that, and that was huge odds. That was 500 to 1, I think. At one point.
My wife was the Super Bowl party she went to, which I didn't go to because I want to sit home and just watch the game. So I said I'm not going anywhere. We got Puppy Bowl to watch, and we've got Super Bowl. But she said she had 0-3 in favor of New England, and then they kicked the field goal at the end to make it 13-3.
Right.
Yeah, right. Kills her on a pool where I think she put $100 in on one of those, those stupid square pools. Yeah, where you
that was a lot of money.
A lot of money for
for her to
probably
$2,500 or $5,000 or
a new pair of shoes. Yeah, it was a new pair of shoes for her. So yeah, I mean, it was her money. But she lost it.
I will
on that field goal. Yeah.
Yeah, Brady's completions wound up under 26.5. Cook's, these are some of the ones we talked about. Cook's got over 71.5 yards. I know that Mike was stuff that we just mentioned on air, and then those, you guys were saying yes, no, and we kind of went through it. I went back and listened. Mike was 2-5. Steve was 0-5, and Anthony was 2-3. Just on some of those.
I can't. I don't. That's why I don't gamble, Mike.
Anthony
I don't gamble.
So Mike did officially win that one over you, Steve. But
and
Steve, you were the only guy that made Edelman. You're the only guy that mentioned
I have no
Edelman.
problem with that.
Oh, will you quit
I have
kissing
no
his
problem
ass,
with that.
Bobby? Get off the Edelman thing. What are your big plays for tonight?
Hey, all right, we got two top plays, guys. And I'm going to talk about one of them, but the top plays are the Pacers. They're up to -2.5. They were -1 or 1.5 on the sheet, and they're up to.
You got -1 on the sheet. Yeah.
Yeah, it's up to 2.5. You're not going to find a -1 anymore, but I do like the Pacers over the Pelicans, and there's good reasons. But the one I really want to talk about tonight, the other top play, is the Spurs tonight, and they're up to -2. They might be 1 or 1.5 on the sheet also, but they got the money early over the Sacramento Kings. And what's really interesting tonight is that this is the start of their rodeo trip. You guys are aware of this. They go on this long trip in February because the rodeo comes into town and kicks them out for 3 weeks. And Popovich, the great coach he is, he uses this trip, and those guys bond and they come together. And guys, this is the 17th year of the rodeo trip, and they've only had 2 losing trips. And one of them was last year. They were 2-4 on a 6-game trip. This is an 8-gamer. And the last time they came off of a losing trip was 3 or 4 years ago. They rebounded with 7-1 the next year. And I cannot predict a 7-1, but I can predict a 4-4. And let me go over the schedule real quick. Tonight they play at Sacramento, so we know tonight's a winnable game. They've won 6 in a row there at Sacramento. Then they have a back-to-back or Golden State and Portland. Going to be very tough to get one of those. Then it's Utah, Memphis. Memphis is gettable. Utah is tough. Then it's the All-Star break. And then they head east before they come home. Toronto, Knicks, and Brooklyn. And the Knicks and Brooklyn look gettable. Gettable. Toronto's going to be tough. So, 4-4, guys, is not going to be easy. This team is 10-15 on the road this year. So this is a game that, to kick off this road trip, this is, like Coach Knight used to say, catching fish, right? They got to catch this one tonight, because going 0-1 heading into the back-to-back, that's not a good start. 0-3 is nothing that they want to be doing on this trip. And
yeah, they lose. They're going to be ready. They're going to be lucky to win 3 games on the trip.
Exactly, and so they're going to be focused and ready. And Popovich does such a great job. They beat the Pelicans the other night. They had a 20-point lead in the fourth. The Pelicans, who the Pacers play tonight, are just a disaster right now. They're playing guys you've barely heard of because they have injuries. They have Davis out, and they have a lost season basically. And that doesn't mean go bet the house on Indiana tonight, guys. I do like Indiana for other reasons.
What if you own a trailer, Bobby? Would you bet your trailer?
Not on the Pacers. If you had to bet it, you bet it on the Spurs. You had to. But,
and my other question about this game is this real quick. The Spurs are playing without Derek White tonight too, correct?
Yeah, he's out tonight, and he has been a good force for them off the bench, and that is a bit of a loss for them. I did notice that early this morning when that came out, and I saw that somewhere on Twitter. And I think that's it is a loss for them tonight. I will agree with you on that. But the Spurs play a lot of players, and they have a lot of different lineups they can throw out there. And I was going to say before I got off, they played the Pelicans the other night, had a 20-point lead in the fourth, and that lead dwindled to 6, and Pop left them out there. Left the second unit out there. This guy's such a great coach. He knows he's going to need these guys big time on this 8-game trip. He left them out there to figure it out. And that's just great coaching, guys. And it's going to come into play on this road trip. They need everybody on that wears a uniform to come through. And tonight they're going to need it even more. They signed a guy off of their G League team who might even get some minutes tonight, but it doesn't matter. Don't let that bother you. They're in a good spot tonight. Their guy they got, DeRozan from Toronto, is coming out of his slump. He's playing well. Aldridge is an all-star. Their guards do a good job. It's a good spot. They're 1-0 against the Kings this year. And the Kings are, having a really good season, their best season in a few years for sure. And so head-to-head could mean something. They play 2 more times. So the Spurs would like to get that second win to get that also, in case that comes into play for playoffs. The last but not least, San Antonio, and this has really shocked me. They're the third best team against the spread playing inside the conference. So when they play the Western Conference, they're 22-16 against the spread. And there's only two teams better. That's 57.9%. Only Milwaukee and Orlando are better inside their own conference. And that's both in the Eastern Conference. So San Antonio, guys, minus a couple points tonight at Sacramento. That's the top play.
All right. What else you want to talk about, Bobby?
Well, okay. I'm really excited. ACP is back in full swing, and we got 3 tournaments going. And the TSR this week had six matchups that we released, all at nice plus odds. And we already hit the first one. Granola's this morning, he wins at plus $1.70. I mean, that's $1.70. That's like 2 bets. So that was a really nice win. And again, when we put out 6, we're just hoping to hit 3 of them or 4. 3, it still makes you money. You split them, make money, and we've already got 1 of them. So get on the early risers ATP picks this week, and we do have a college game we like tonight. That's Virginia Tech and Texas Tech. West Virginia and Texas Tech. We do like a side in that game tonight. So, and I also think the money line's a good play there too. So if you know me, we're on West Virginia. So I think West Virginia could upset them tonight. They're getting 12 points. So that's our 3 plays. We give it out again for the listeners. We were 4-0 on Friday. Give out the whole card, and let's try to make it 7-0.
All right. Any on this day today that you want to talk about?
Yeah, my good friend Steve. How do you not say this? Today is the anniversary of the Colts Super Bowl when they beat the Bears, 2007. MVP Peyton Manning. Colts overcome a kickoff return and to start the game, and they win it. And I was at where I'm standing right now, same place. Where were you watching that game, Steve?
I was at my home in Indianapolis, I'm sure. Okay. Yeah, I was at my home in Indianapolis, I'm sure.
Mike, were you in the trailer, or where were you at?
I was just chilling in the trailer. We had some Colts fans right next to us. They're idiots, though, because all Colts fans are idiots. But
that 2007 was the greatest Super Bowl in the history of all Super Bowls.
It was a boring game between 2 mediocre teams. It was. I think that Super Bowl was a lot worse than what we saw yesterday. I mean, Super Bowl, if you look at the stats, I mean, the Bears only had 11 first downs. They ran for 111, threw for 165. They got outgained 430 to 265. They had 5 turnovers to the Colts' 3 turnovers. It was just a poorly played game and bad weather. And the Colts' defense is actually what won them the game, I think.
Okay,
yeah, no doubt.
They have 2 more Super Bowl trophies than the Bengals have. So that's fine.
What the hell does that mean? At least
they have 2 more Super Bowl trophies, Lombardi trophies.
My team belongs where they're at. Your team belongs in Baltimore. All right, Bobby, anything else?
Like I said,
yeah, I got one more thing.
Indianapolis Colts.
Bobby's got one more thing. If he's your friend, you'll be quiet and let him speak.
Bobby.
Yes,
Bobby.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, and you made a reference to Bob Knight, catch and release or catching fish. Some comment about Knight. Yeah, no, all I ever heard from Bob Knight was, Risley, you're on the bench.
I don't believe that's what he heard. I believe what he heard most of the time is, what are you doing?
Yeah, I can't. There was some F-bombs in there too, but it was kind of in there. So.
Bobby, what else?
I got one more thing to say, guys. Quick, it's a quick one. I promise you. I want you guys to read. Do you have the report in front of you that I sent? Do you have today's TSR?
Yeah.
I have it up right now.
Okay. Well, take a look at the birthdays, guys. Whose birthday is it today?
Yours
which big
truly?
names do you like?
It's you. Happy birthday.
Yours,
because
truly.
I looked at it.
50th birthday,
you know
Bobby.
What? Our world is so messed up today. I really was sitting here thinking, who's yours truly? I thought maybe it was a rapper that's going to be at the halftime show for Super Bowl 54 next year.
You know who I thought it was, Mike? I thought it was Truly Scrumptious from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. truly
No, I really-
scrumptious.
I
You're
seriously, Bobby,
truly scrumptious.
I was going to ask you who the hell yours truly is.
There you
Well,
go.
you know, I got Lawrence Taylor and Oscar De La Hoya with me, and Vern Fleming.
Vern Fleming.
He
Vern
was a good pacer.
I
yeah,
love
Vern
Vern.
Fleming was a good pacer. And
Vern and
where did
Victor.
he go to? Where did Vern go to college?
Vern went to
Was he
Georgia,
Georgia?
took him to the Final Four,
Yeah.
didn't he? No, wait.
Yeah.
Was Vern Xavier or was Victor? Because they were brothers. One played at Xavier and the
Yeah,
other
there
one
was
played at
Vern.
Georgia.
Vern was the pacer that went to Georgia. Victor was
Okay, Victor was Xavier.
the guy. Actually lived next door to my best friend when I was in Indianapolis. He lived out.
Victor
on the
was actually a
reservoir in
damn good
Indianapolis.
player, too. He was on the
Yeah,
first
but
Xavier
Vern-
team to make the NCAA tournament.
Vern was the most quiet
Wow.
guy you'd ever talk to in your life. I don't know if I ever heard him say 5 words together ever.
So,
He never would
also,
Vern-
Oscar De La Hoya and
year
Lawrence Tiller aren't great company. I mean, one's a cokehead, the other dresses in women's clothes. So,
I
but Dan
agree with you.
Plesac,
Lawrence-
Dan Plesac once threw a no-hitter, if I remember right, for the Milwaukee Brewers.
He did, and he ended up a reliever, and he was a damn good pitcher. He had a good curveball, and you can hear him, I think, on MLB Network. Can't you still?
I don't.
I know he's been a broadcaster for MLB Network, but I don't know if he's still part of their
Yeah,
action.
he was
but-
a good pitcher.
No, that was good stuff. I had a quick one. 84 Olympics, Bob Knight's team. I think, was Vern Fleming, could he have played on that team, or what year was he at Georgia? How old is he now? What does it say on there?
57. You got
57.
57 on there.
He's 57.
That would have
so
put him in that
84
realm. Yeah, that would have
Olympics-
put him in that realm. Because we
Yeah.
played against the
On that
84
team.
Olympic team.
I thought he was actually one of the last guys cut from that 84 Olympic team, wasn't he?
Oh, you might be right, too. I know he
Might
Yeah, I
be
think
right,
him
yeah.
and Barkley might have been the last two cut.
Well, let's look that up and see. But is Coach
Yeah,
Knight,
he was
yeah,
drafted 1984
Yeah.
round 1. So, yeah, he'd have been in the tryouts for that team.
Yeah, I know that
Well-
I got married in June of '84 in Hawaii. My wife and I flew to Hawaii and got married. And I came back, and that's the year that Knight had the former IU players play the Olympic team. And I remember being in Bloomington, and that's where they had Jordan Konkak, Patrick Ewing. I remember going to a party with them afterwards somewhere.
Also, the
and
thing about
devious things
Vern,
happening.
the thing about Vern
Well,
is,
yeah,
if
and
you
he kept
remember,
He kept Alfred on that team as a freshman or sophomore, I guess, for the experience,
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
he
if
kept
you
off the run,
remember,
yeah.
Vern Fleming actually was one of the main players on the 83 Georgia team that went to the Final Four. And the cool thing about that was Dominic Wilkins had left in 1982. And then in 83, Vern Fleming helped lead that team to the Final Four. And they upset. Jordan lost to IU in 84. Jordan lost to, I think, to Georgia in the Elite Eight. That's what got Georgia to the Final Four, where it ended up losing to NC State.
Wow, yeah, that's 84. Because Jordan, his loss to Indiana was what year? 80. That was Alfred's.
84.
It was 84. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
And-
Alfred won as a senior in '87, his national championship.
Dockett's big moment there when he helped.
Oh, Dockage
George
didn't do
Brown.
crap. Just stop.
Well, and the other thing is this. Victor and
I think Jordan
Vern,
scored 16 points in that game.
nobody
And all
cares.
16 of them
Well,
came when
No, all
Dockage,
16.
Jordan scored 16 points, and all 16 of them came when Dockage was guarding him.
Jordan only played 20 minutes. He scored 16 points. He got in foul trouble early, and then he fouled out with like
Yeah.
6 or 7 minutes left in the game.
Yeah.
But Victor Fleming,
Right.
who played at Xavier, was actually a second-round pick. Vern was a first-round pick, and they were brothers.
Can we
There you go.
confirm or not confirm? Was Vern on the team or not, or was he last cut? Do we know that yet?
I'm pretty sure Vern. I didn't look it up because I don't think Vern was on that team. Because I think Leon Wood, who played at like Cal State Fullerton, was the last guard to make it. Hold on here. I'll tell you in a second, though. He might have been on the team, but I thought he was the last cut because I think they kept Leon Wood over him.
No, he was on the team. Mike.
Yeah, he was on the team. Okay. But so was Leon Wood, so I wasn't completely wrong.
Yeah. Oh,
The
Was Larry
amazing-
Johnson on that
yeah,
team?
yeah.
No, Larry Johnson
You know
was
he
a
was pretty
long
good.
time after that.
one thing we can know for sure is that he was a damn good defensive player, because if Knight kept him, he could play some defense.
Wait a second, because Knight kept Alford on that team too, and we know Alford wasn't a damn good defensive player.
That was for different reasons.
Chris Mullen was an all-right defensive player, and he was on the team. The best defensive player on that entire team to me was Alvin Robertson.
Patrick Ewing.
No, Alvin Robertson was one of the greatest defensive guards that ever lived. And actually, I think two of the top 5 defensive guards that ever lived were him and Sidney Moncrief, and they all played for Arkansas. And I'll tell you, I forgot this. Wayman Tisdale, who was my favorite all-time Indiana Pacer, was on that team also.
Oklahoma.
Wayman Tisdale, wow.
He was a stud with the Pacers. And then they had Jeff
Passed
Turner
away, unfortunately,
Yeah. But somehow Joe Klein, John Koncak, and Jeff Turner run the team. He had to have 3 7-foot white guys that couldn't play. Risley, if you'd only been born 3 years later, you could have been an Olympian.
And we go to the party, and all 3 of those guys, Klein, Koncak, and all of them hit on my wife. I just got married.
I'll tell you
why. She was
I'm pretty sure that even though he died in 1977, Elvis hit on your wife at a party in 1985.
I heard a decent blurb from that time, the Olympic team. One of them, Perkins, said that if you could describe Coach Knight as a like an animal or something, he said, he's a shark. And Wayman Tisdale said he's a pussycat. And they asked Knight, well, who's right, Perkins or Tisdale? And he said, maybe both. That was his answer to that. What would you say, Steve? Was he a shark or a pussycat?
Yeah,
I would say
maybe,
you go
both.
with what Wayman Tisdale said, because Wayman Tisdale, if I remember right, was one of the hardest working players you ever see. That's why he came up with that. I think Perkins was a little lazy, so that's why he got Knight Shark.
The thing about understand about Bob Knight is there were ways to disarm Bob Knight. You could disarm him if you as a college player, you're not smart enough to know how to disarm him. But as you get older and you played in golf outings with him, you sat around and you told stories with him, you figured out, I know how to disarm you.
Well,
now.
he couldn't cut you anymore, so his teeth were gone.
That was
it
a
was
big part of it.
without the teeth. But
no.
all right.
But there was always the legend. Everybody would ever tell you that's played for him would say that Bob Knight's bark was much worse than his bite.
All right.
But I think that's how he wanted it
This
to
episode turned into episode 1 of Winds of War. Over 2 hours.
I know. We're 2 hours into it. We got to go.
So we would like
guys,
to
listen.
What?
Great stuff for your listeners to hear this kind of stuff. It's really, really, really good. I'm not sure there's many more podcasts with this kind of content. Looking back at sports and some inside stories from somebody who was there, and it's just all good, guys. Good stuff.
We appreciate it, Bobby.
We'll do it again tomorrow.
All right. We will be back tomorrow with Brian Ralph from Fansided and the Busting Brackets website to talk college basketball. Wednesday.
And Bobby Sheridan.
Wednesday. Yeah, I was going to get to that because Wednesday, though, I got excited because there was all kind of people on this Browns website today claiming that Tom Brady wasn't the greatest quarterback of all time. So I just put a feeler out there for anybody that thought that anybody was better than Tom Brady. They could come on the show Wednesday and argue their point. So we'll see if anybody takes us up on that on Wednesday. And if you're out there listening and you're an idiot and don't think Tom Brady is the GOAT, then you could send us a message on Twitter @GruelingTruth, and maybe we can have you on the show to debate the merits of your case so I can make you look like a flaming idiot. All right, guys, remember, you can hear all of our shows.
Wait.
What?
Can I close with this?
Go ahead.
A wise man once said, wherever you go, well, there you are. Wrap it up, Mike.
All right, the wise words of a wise man. Obviously, that means they're not Risley's words. You can hear all of our shows on iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher, wherever you find sports podcasts, you'll find The Grueling Truth. So, for Bobby Sheridan, former New England Patriot Mark Edwards, Anthony Cervino, Steve Risley, there's a lot of people there. Just make sure you go check out the Sheridan Report so you can get paid every day. I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth. where the legends speak.